We have time for one more question. Mark.
After shows like Family Guy and Arrested Development, which kind of sputtered early on, but eventually built up a cult following, have you thought at all about changing your model to be less focused on short-term performance and maybe allowing a show like Kings to catch traction and get going? And if not, then what's holding networks back from doing something like that?
It's a good question. The hardest job for a network programming executive is to decide, is the show that you have Family Guy, or is it Arrested Development, just to use your two examples? Because there are two ends of the spectrum here. Family Guy was a show that got canceled, but by popular demand, because of the DVD sales, came back, and now is stronger than ever. Arrested Development was a show that Fox was hoping was going to be another Family Guy, and never attracted a mass audience, and they were never able to make a business out of that show. So decisions like that are very difficult because you don't know from time to time whether you have one or the other, unless you know, because creatively, the Fox executives, I'm sure, believed very strongly in Arrested Development. It was a great television show. A show like Office for us started very, very weakly. The Office was 6 episodes, and it didn't perform well at all. And we almost canceled it. And there was enough passion in the building where people said, there's something here, let's stick with it. We ordered 6 more episodes, and then 6 more episodes. And it just slowly started to catch on, and luckily, we were right, because now it's a hit, and it's a big moneymaker for us. Another show of ours that we believe in just as passionately, Friday Night Lights. And that was a show that never caught on. Yet we believed in it so much that we went and found a partner in DirecTV to help finance the cost of the show so that we can keep it on the air, even though it's not a business for us. There's no back-end value in Friday Night Lights. We're not going to make really any money on the show, make a little bit, but we so loved the show that we kind of willed it to stay alive by making this deal with DirecTV. But that's a show that'll never find a mass audience. Kings was a show that we had high hopes for, but ultimately our creative executives felt like the show just kind of got a little too off into the craziness, and they just felt that this was a show that didn't have long-term potential. It was really well made, and it was very well acted, well made. I loved the whole idea of it, but it just never was able to really find its audience or find its rhythm, so we had to pull the plug on it. For every show that's been canceled over the years, you look back and you say, had we stuck with that, that could have been, a hit television show. Everybody's got those shows that I'm sure they think if they only stuck with it, it would have been a hit show. I can think of 5 examples on NBC alone over the years that, God, if we only stuck with that show, I bet today it would still be on the air.
We have time for one more question. Mark?
You mentioned the fact that people now fast forward on their DVR through the commercials, right? So shouldn't product placement in the show become more important for networks?
Well, it has, and it is, but there's only so much of that you can do. He was asked if you didn't hear the question about product integration. there's only so much of that you can do. You don't want to, kind of cheapen the product by having too much of it, and so you don't want your shows to be walking commercials. And on the other hand, it's also not as easy to execute. The shows are involved in the product integration. The advertisers want their product portrayed in a certain way, and the showrunners, creative executives on the show, want to use the product in the way they want to use the product. And there's a tension there. I'll give you an example. On The Office, Chili's, the restaurant chain Chili's, they were going to integrate into a couple episodes of The Office. So I don't know how many Office fans are here, but we're all here, right? Great, no one's watching the show. So the episode of The Office that was written had them having a party, an office party in Chili's, and during the party, character Pam, the receptionist, Jenna Fisher character, was gonna walk around and go to the bar and drink like way too much and get really drunk. And then at some part towards the end of the show, she was gonna be doing something and she was gonna like throw up and then pass out. And the Chili's executives saw the script, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. No one throws up in Chili's, and we don't overserve our guests. So you can't do that. And the creator of the show, the showrunner, Greg Daniels, was like, forget it. That this is my, I wrote this. I want this to happen. And it was a pitched battle. So the compromise, which ultimately was the version that made it to the air, was the Pam character, walked around drinking people's unfinished booze from tables. So she served herself, got drunk, she passed out but didn't throw up. Chili's was okay with that, we were okay with that. Problem solved, money gotten, but you can only do so much of that. After a while, you don't replace the revenue you lose by people time shifting with product integration revenue. There's not enough of that to make up for the advertising revenue you otherwise lose.
I think we can end on throwing up at Chili's. That's a
Think of me and throwing up at Chili's.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Especially want to thank Mark. Thank you so much. I kind of sit through 2 hours of traffic to come down, so this is a real.
But you're gonna chopper me now.
Yes. I'll talk to Dean Bassett about that. And if everyone wants to make their way outside to the Rotunda, we have a small reception.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Well.